Okay.
What's the coaching point to Michael Bennett and the pass rushers after the play?
You know, that's a really unfortunate play, and I think for the most part this year we've been able to avoid plays like that. We coach guys to try to stay in the strike zone, but sometimes they're going to be pushed off their feet, sometimes they're not. Our coaching point when they are off their feet is try to swipe the leg and not have forcible contact. I mean, I think that's a judgment call whether that was forceful or not. I know we can bring a lot more force than that, and Mike was trying to do the right thing. Obviously, that was a big play in the game. Sometimes you're going to get a foul when you're not trying to. Sometimes there's going to be a guy that's going to hit the quarterback in the head because he ducks the head. There's strict liability on defense. It's tough situation, but we got to deal with it.
Wasn't the strike zone though above the knee and kind of on the guy's ass and thigh?
It's not up to us to officiate. It's up to us to play to the officiating. And like I said, I think we've done a pretty good job all year of avoiding situations like that. We've seen some around the league. You know, this one bit us a little bit. It was a big play in that game. We got to go from a sack and you know, potentially either getting them out of field goal range or holding them to a field goal to moving the ball and a touchdown. You know, there's probably half a dozen plays you could point to as a play of the game, and that was one of them. You know, he's trying his best to get the quarterback on the ground. He's not trying to get a foul right there.
How do you think Avonte Maddox did?
Brought some energy to us. He shows great range. You know, he picked things up extremely quick. But I said that last week, when you play the nickel position, you basically play a safety position for us. You know, and then you know, when Corey got hurt early in that game, that really changed the dynamic of how much he was going to play. He was up for it. You know, I think if the end of the game went a little bit different, you'd point to that play that when we had them backed up, we went for the sack. I mean, I got aggressive with a call right there and put the corner on an island. They were able to complete the pass. I mean, I was going for the sack, strip, touchdown, safety, whatever it was, and we were inches away. This is a game of inches. Anyway, corner got beat. Avonte did a great job controlling that situation, slowed that guy down, and that was probably 4 points on that play. Got him slowed down, and that's a tough play to make in the middle of the field like that. Like I said earlier in the week, those are two talented receivers with the ball in their hand, and I thought that was a sign of good things from Avonte.
Obviously, you put him there because of necessity, but what's his ceiling at that position, and could that be a position for him long term?
Yeah, you know, we like corners that are safeties that have corner in the background. You know, he's not ideal size, but he is ideal quickness and range and you know, eyes for the football. The things we liked from him as a nickel, we also like from him as a safety. You know, we'll see going forward. I mean, that's where we are right now.
Speaking of the quarterback getting beaten, how would you have rated Jalen's play other than that play?
You know, Jalen's made a lot of plays for him. That first third down stop, gets his hand on balls, plays great technique. I put the play he gave up, I put that more on me than him. I mean, I put him on a big island, you know, and we were aggressive there. We had him backed up. We needed a momentum change. We had just fumbled the ball. You know, we're trying to get the sack. We're inches away from doing that. Quarterback put it up. You know, I mean, it's one of those things when you're a corner, you're going to get beat. I thought he bounced back well from that within the game and battled and, you know, did all the things a corner's going to do. But, you know, I think it's just life as a corner. If you make a mistake, if you give up a play, it's there for everybody to see. You can't hide it. Where linebacker, a defensive lineman, you know, anybody else that makes a mistake, you know, it might go unnoticed. That's just the hat that those guys wear, and they can't lose confidence because they give up a play.
There's a running theme, though, when
more in control. I mean, does he have to maybe play just a little bit more in control of his emotions?
His emotions?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was maybe a little out of control toward the end of that game.
I didn't see that.
Not serious there, and Fletcher had to pull him off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a competitive game, and you want guys to be competitive. You want guys to, you know, to keep their energy up and things like that. I mean, that stuff goes on a million times on the sideline, whether it's one group talking to another, a player talking to another. That's not an unusual situation. I like the fact that he was combative, that he was, you know, getting back. The one thing you don't want from a corner is shell-shocked, and, you know, Jalen's never been that way.
I know you're not a numbers guy, and defensive tackle is not really a numbers position. Are you getting enough out of Destiny when he's out there?
I think just across the board, I'd say we need more production from our D-line in general, our entire defense in general. We're playing a lot of games that come down to one play, and we've been one play short. We need somebody, whether it's Destiny, whether it's whoever, Fletch, Jordan Hicks, Nigel Bradham, Malcolm Jenkins. We need to find a way to get that one more play. And there's a fine line there between pressing, trying to do too much, and just doing your job. Sometimes plays don't come to those guys. Sometimes, runs don't come to them, and you might not notice. A guy might not get a tackle, but he's in the right spot and somebody else gets a tackle. So we're worried about our whole defense being efficient, not really the production of one player. If our defense can make that one extra play a game that'll put us over the top, that's what we're looking for.
You mentioned specific type things with Jalen a couple of minutes ago. How would you assess his overall game against the Vikings?
Yeah, you guys know I never do that in the media. I think he did play with good technique. I think that part of that, like I said, I was very aggressive in that call, and that puts corners on an island. And that's a little bit of the cost of doing business with corners. Not going to make every one of those plays. We recognize that, but I'd rather take that and know that we were aggressive and we went after the quarterback right there and they made the play rather than us, than have laid back there and tried to bleed it out, particularly at that point of the game.
Jim, they were getting the ball out quick. Kirk was getting it out quick. That's sort of a trait of Eli at this point as well. How do you kind of stop that? Because those quick throws in the yards after the catch.
Yeah, well, I think that's you're right on it. It's the yards after the catch. The quick throws aren't the things that get you. And I think in the when you look back at the Vikings, it wasn't that they were getting those catches. They were a lot of times catching the ball for 1 yard gain, 0 yard gain when they were throwing the ball out there. It's the run after the catch. It's limiting that. There's some scheme stuff that I can help those guys with. I thought late in the game we made some good adjustments. There's a play on our sideline where Malcolm and Darby had a very short pass, and they triangulated the guy and made a really good play. But there's some stuff I can do to help them. But sometimes that there's a method behind the offense. They're throwing those quick passes. They're trying to get you up to take that, and there's some discipline that goes along with that. We got to be a good tackling team. They have some guys that can run after the catch. Odell Beckham, obviously, and Barkley. Barkley's, a lot of times like a wide receiver, and he's a guy that can get 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, and then all of a sudden break one for 38 or 60 or whatever he can do. He's a big play guy. We're going to have to do a good job tackling him, and he catches a lot of short passes out of the backfield. Looks a little different than the wide outs, but he catches short passes and screens and stuff like that, and he has the ability to break it if we're not 100% where we're supposed to be.
Couple more, please, and the locker room's open.
Jim, what's the challenge you face in getting them physically ready in such a short period of time?
Yeah, when it's a short week, Monday never feels right. You never feel like because you're into almost a Thursday. Today you never feel like you're right. But by the time we get to tomorrow night, we get at the stadium. We get at the hotel. We have our Saturday night meetings. It feels like a Saturday to the players, and then they gas it up on Thursday night. You can go on fumes for a game. It's hard to go play on short rest for multiple weeks in a row, but we don't have to. We got to do it this one time. So we got to, we did it last year on the road at Carolina. Some similar situations. We had some injury situations, and we're able to get that energy going. I think that our players know what time it is. They know how important this game is.
You talked about Fletcher Cox's leadership. He said he was just being a good teammate there, trying to get Jalen to move on to kind of the next play. Do you like seeing that out of him, and is that an example of that leadership?
Yeah, I think Fletcher's really stepped his leadership up this year, and that comes along with being a great player. That's him. Fletch is one of those guys. He can play with emotion, but he seems like he always has a smile on his face. Other guys are a little bit different. Everybody has a little different personality. We certainly embrace that. But it means a lot when players, when players step in and recognize things and take steps to address things. I think that that's certainly a sign of good leadership. If it gets them before it gets to the coaches, I think that's certainly a good sign. All right, all right, guys.